All right, let's see.
Okay, guys.
Let's load them up.
What do you got, Lex?
Vibrating. He's
So excited.
All right.
You should be. Merry Christmas, guys, and Happy New Year to everybody. And Happy Holidays to those of you who don't celebrate Christmas. We're happy to have you guys along for the ride. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support, watching the videos and commenting and being around for the ride. We really appreciate the support. Next thing is we're going to get into how many subscribers we got and all the fun stuff we accomplished. Let's get into some of the numbers. We always do this.
Lex, how many subscribers do you think we got this year?
How many?
3.
3? We did get 3, you're right, but we got more than 3. You know how many we got? We got about 6,300, so 6,300, which might not sound like a lot to some people. However, the coolest thing is we actually hit 10,000 back in April. We're already at 15,000, so it's really exciting to see the growth, and so many of you guys are around for the ride, so welcome. And those of you that have been around the whole time, thank you so much for your support. So next thing is we got 1.1 million views. And what's cool about that is the channel has 2.5 million total, so we got almost 50% of our total views in just this year, the last 12 months. So that's awesome. I'm gonna get behind the bar and give some numbers. We're gonna talk business, but before I do that, there's one more thing I want to do. So you guys always see me on camera here, yapping away. Now the thing is, this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for my wife, Jess.
Aww.
So Jess is behind the scenes. She's working hard, supporting us so that we can keep this going. If it was just me, there's no way in heck we'd keep this going. And there's so much pressure with a channel like this and so much work that, you know, she keeps me alive in so many different ways. So thank you so much, Jess. If it wasn't for you, like a good support system, you need it. Without that, there's no way we could do this. But here we are, we're doing it, right?
It's a fun, crazy ride.
It's a fun, crazy ride. We're just getting started, right? Alrighty, kids are in the bath. Let's get to business. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Love doing this video. This is our 3rd annual behind the scenes Christmas video. So we just completed a 3rd year. Really cool. This is by far our most busy year of all time. We did so many things. I cannot believe everything. We're gonna go through everything. We're just gonna talk about it. So let's do that. We're gonna talk about the top videos for this year in terms of Between the Wheels. We're going to talk about the future of channel releases in terms of what that looks like, how many times, you know, a month we're going to release and whatnot. We're going to talk about the Nova project because there's a lot of changes happening with the Nova project, some information. It's very exciting. Haven't revealed it just yet, so that's what we're going to do today. And we're also going to have some information in terms of the car itself, like how the car has changed, because some things have changed, which is pretty neat. Next thing is SEMA. So we went down to SEMA in Las Vegas, largest car show in North America, and that was amazing. Incredible experience to do that. We'll talk about that as well and what that brought. And then we're going to talk about the documentary. We actually filmed a documentary this year, so I'll get into the documentary. That's later on for those of you who care. And then finally, the last part is how people can help this channel. So how you can get involved, there's ways. We'll talk about that all the way at the end. So let's just get started. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the releases, how often we're going to do it and whatnot, because that will change. So we've been doing once every 2 weeks. That's been kind of the thing. With the exception of November, December, we've been doing more just because we went to SEMA and we kind of filled it up. And that was cool. However, the thing about this channel is we're always trying to do quality over quantity. SEMA, there was a lot of information. It was kind of coming at you really quickly. I really want to focus on the videos being television quality, full story A to Z, something we're really proud of, not something we just threw out real quickly. So that's what we're going to focus on. It's still that quality. That's very important. And that's the reason why we haven't done more releases, is because of the quality and the time that goes into it. So everything we try to do the highest quality possible. So what we're going to do, instead of doing a Between the Wheels, 1 week off, and then doing a restorations, another week off, we're going to take 3 weeks, and out of those 3 weeks we're going to have release. So you're going to have restorations, you're going to have Between the Wheels, and then a break, and then repeat. So what this is going to mean, it means more videos. So we're going to have more releases than we did this year, or than any year for that matter. So we're going to try it out. I really hope I can get it going. So we filmed a full season Between the Wheels this year, and it was meant to be spread out over 2025. So we tried to do a year in advance. What's going to happen is that's only going to cover about 2/3 of the year, and then whatever we film next year is going to be starting. So there's going to be a lot of content. At the same time, you're still gonna see restorations coming at you, and there's a lot of videos to come. There may be one release where it might be something else. I have a go-kart I restored, that might be coming out just because it takes so much time to make these episodes. But then once they get going, there'll be lots of them. So lots of fun stuff with that. So next, let's talk about the top videos 2024. So we're talking about the Between the Wheels specifically. So in 5th place was Tony with his Torino. I put on jack stands and I cried.
This time on Between the Wheels.
It had been sitting in a field for quite a few years, but I was so excited about the fact that I found a 72 Grand Torino, I bought the thing without even checking the thing out completely. I know, got it up on jack stands and I cried.
Such a great episode. This thing went really crazy. His story really got around, the amount of comments and everything. People really liked his fighting tenacity and his hard work that went to making that car what it is today. So that's a great episode. Congratulations, Tony. You did a great job on that one. Next one was the 173-year-old barn find with Rick.
On the season's finale of Between the Wheels.
You know, you hear of legends in the automotive community of properties just scattered with cars or barns filled with classic cars. It just so happens you have both.
Yes, I'm lucky. He was just about to squish the car. He had the tires off. I pulled into his junkyard and went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Most people would look at it and say, it's a basket case. You can't fix that. The door traveled about 9 inches in the car. And this is the result. The car is now back on the road.
So Rick invited us to his property and original settlement here in Canada, and we took us for a tour on this 173-year-old original hayloft from back in the day, and there was just loaded with cars, right? So that's the classic car guy thing to do. So that was really cool. He took us on a tour, and the cool thing about this barn find is that it's not just any barn where it's full of old cars rotting away. These guys actually bring them in and they fix them and they bring them back to life and they're back on the road. That's the cool part. So Rick and Bob specifically, amazing people, and they take a lot of cars that are sent to the crusher, which is the coolest part. Cars that you thought nobody would fix. That was a great episode, so that came in 4th this year. 3rd was Jill and his 68 Mustang.
This time on Between the Wheels.
This one here was pretty much a shell. Things sat in a barn for years and years and years. Most people want their car to look good, but they don't think of the handling aspect of the car.
This is a mishmash Frankenstein creation of modern technology.
It's a little bit more violent than the other car.
So Gilles became quite popular because of the first season with his Fox body. He had that legendary line in the intro, and that kind of got around. And he built this 68 Mustang, basically out of parts that you can get from Canadian Tire. A bunch of different cars, he put them all together, Mustang 2 suspension. He had a drive shaft from an Aerostar, I believe. And he kind of just put all these parts together, made a really economical build, and the car drives awesome. So that was really cool. He should be proud of the work he did. He came in 3rd place. 2nd is another Gilles and his 72 Charger. That's actually my father-in-law, my wife's dad.
This time on Between the Wheels.
I guess I was 17 years old when I bought that car, and I fell in love with it right away, just the looks. I drove it myself for 20 years.
You missed that car a lot, eh?
I freaking love that car. I should have never sold that.
So this is your old car.
Wow, look at the freaking shape of it.
His story, it really got around. So he had a 72 Charger and he sold it in the early 2000s, unfortunately. And to this day, he talks about it all the time. It's always been a topic conversation. We ended up finding the car and kind of having him see it again after many years. And it was kind of a mixed reaction. Like a lot of people, some people liked it and some people didn't like it because he wasn't able to buy it back because of how much it's worth these days. But he was really happy with it. And trust me guys, that story's not over. That experience lit a fire under his ass. We're looking for another car. He's gonna have another muscle car one day. Not sure what it's gonna be or when it's gonna happen, but when it happens, you guys will see it. We'll for sure show that to you. I think it's time for him to, get his dream of having a muscle car back, and after 24 or 25 years now, so that's gonna be really cool. We're gonna figure that out. And then number 1 was actually my good friend Mike Raspberry and the Shitmobile from Trailer Park Boys.
This time on Between the Wheels.
It's got that power steering belt just tight enough.
You know, you get the sleepers with like 600 or 700 horse, and then you got the sleepers that sleep 2, one in the front, one in the back, kinda.
This episode just went crazy. It really got around. He had done an amazing job on this car. A lot of people will not appreciate it that don't like the show because they just think it's a crappy looking car. But what Mike did here was incredible. He took a car and he first restored it. So he didn't just make it look crappy. He actually restored it, painted it to the right color, and then he made it look like the movie car. But what's even more impressive about that, if you haven't heard the story, is that the Trailer Park Boys creators were actually filming a movie and they didn't have a car anymore, and they ended up using his car. So they gave him a week to get it finished, and he worked hundreds of hours on this thing. He drove it there by himself on his own money, and it was in the movie that just came out December 6th. So check out that new movie. His car's in there. Mike is very proud of his work, and he's a great guy, very deserving. So he was number 1 for this year. So that's really cool. Next, we're going to talk about the Nova. So the project has evolved. I don't want to say it's changed because it had to. It was just a natural progression in a very good way. I never expected there to be so much love from everybody. I am really blown away by all the comments and everybody supporting us, and at the same time seeing everybody building their own cars and hearing their experiences. That's my favorite part. You know, no amount of money can bring you the joy that it does. You seeing those comments and seeing people have their dreams come into life, it's amazing. There's so many different stories. I'll give you one real quick one. Was contacted by this young lady. Her father passed away and left a 72 Charger. Car's rotting away. She's never done any of the work before. She saw our videos and she's become motivated to restore the car in his memory. How awesome is that? You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff to me is incredible. And it really doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you're creative, you can do it. You know, I believe in everybody. Like, if I could do this, anybody can. I didn't know and have any of these skills before. You know what I mean? Average Joes and Janes can make their dreams come true with hard work. Just do your research first. That's the thing, you know? So when it comes to the project, our project has changed a bit, but in a good way. So the way it's changed is I'm actually putting it on a lot more technology than I originally thought. So I was gonna save a bunch of stuff. I'm now putting on a whole bunch of different stuff. So I did my research in terms of what I want, and this car is gonna be daily driven. It has to make sense. However you're restoring your car has to make sense to you. There's not one right way to do it. You know, if you drive your car 500 miles a year, you don't need the best of the best. You can have the original technology on there. For us, the problem is a lot of the stuff, everything just fell apart. Now, when we were at Las Vegas to see SEMA, we saw a lot of variety cars. You know, the most amazing builds you ever see, a lot of variety, whatnot, a lot of different styles and creativity. But one thing I didn't see there that made me kind of happy, I didn't see one car built in the 1970s street machine style. Not one. Everything was kind of lowered, you know, massive rims, not much rubber on the tires. Everything was very modern looking. You know, a lot of the interiors are completely modern. I don't want to make my car look exactly like everybody else. I don't want to make it look completely modern. So what I'm thinking is, with our car, what I want with the Nova is I really want a 70s street machine tribute. What that means is you're gonna see the ass end up in the air a little bit. You're gonna see a slight rake on it. You're gonna see a forward-facing scoop, and a lot of the street machine 70s style looks. Like, we're gonna make this thing look like something you'd see out of the 70s, but the thing is, make this thing refined. And we're gonna be using technology that's new. So we're gonna be using brand new technology and kind of make this thing work. So this is kind of a thing. I haven't seen anybody do it this way before, so I just wanted to be different. And at the same time, I filmed so many episodes of these classic cars, original owners or people that have been around for a long time. These are the people I look up to. I have so much respect for all these people. And I just want to keep that tradition going. Let's keep this style going. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna dare to be different in this case. I know a lot of people aren't doing it more. But you know what? This is going to be pretty cool. And at the same time, it's going to have a lot of personality. So we're going to keep that tradition going. And we got to buy brand new stuff anyways. So what we're going to talk about is something we got going on. So the biggest thing we're doing is, when we were at SEMA, we actually went to talk to a lot of different sponsors. This project, I had a vision in my head how I wanted to do it. However, I knew that there was gonna be one point where it's gonna be tough. It's gonna slow down. It's not that we want different types of technology based on what we can get. It's, we have a vision what we want, but without sponsors, there's no way to keep this thing going. So we did our research, we looked up a bunch of sponsors, what we want in the car, we went to speak with them, and we have some things in the works. I'm not gonna tell you about everything right now, but I will tell you one thing, because one of the things is pretty significant, and we've confirmed it, so we can say it. What we're gonna be doing is the suspension. So the suspension was supposed to be just leaf springs on shackles, make it look like a 70s street machine with the ass end in the air and whatnot. We're still doing that style, but what we want to do is we want to make this thing modern and drive properly. So with the suspension, the whole leaf spring thing, I was going to save the leaves, do some shock relocation or whatnot. And you know what happened? I ended up getting a drive with a friend of mine. Mike let me drive his 68 Chevelle.
On the season premiere of Between the Wheels.
Back in '68, the technology was so different. Now, it's not the same thing anymore. You know, the modern cars, you know, they drive like modern cars. What you got here is a classic car that drives like a modern car.
All around four-wheel coilovers. Big difference.
Wow. There's something to be said about modernizing them so you can have a lot more fun too.
It's not a real screaming machine, but it's powerful enough to get me in trouble. You know, when you got a heavy foot like mine.
I can't wait to test that out.
Wow. You let me take it for a drive after I packed up. This is awesome. He had put the coilovers on or whatnot, and I drove this thing, and man, after driving over 60 old vehicles, I gotta tell you, this was like nothing else. We were able to take a swooping 90-degree turn at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, no problem. So after I saw that, I was like, wow, what a difference. So I decided that I'm gonna put coilovers in the car. We're gonna have coilover suspension, all brand new suspension, and it just, I think it's worth spending the money if we're gonna buy new stuff anyways. So looked at companies, and the one I was really interested in was QA1. We went to speak with them, we told them our vision, and they've decided to work with us. So we're gonna be working with them in order to make this happen. So our first official sponsor was QA1, and it's really exciting stuff. So what we're gonna be putting in is we're gonna be putting in their new Ford 9-inch rear end. So originally I was gonna save the rear end. I have an 8.5, but what happens is this Ford 8.5, it has a horsepower limit of about 800, so you can really crank a lot of power. The fact that we're doing an LS and we're putting in a 6-speed manual in there, it just makes sense to make the rear end a little stronger. I don't know how that 8.5 will do if we are really able to put in that much horsepower, so I don't want any weak points, so I decided we'll get the Ford 9-inch rear end. The housing just makes sense. And we're just gonna use the QA1 axles that come with it, and I can't wait to install this stuff. This is gonna be really cool. So we're gonna have dual adjustable shocks. So the suspension, you can basically drive it wherever you want, and then you can switch it to drag strip mode, and then switch it whenever you want. So it just gives you more flexibility. I think it's worth spending the money on something like this, because if I'm gonna be driving a lot, and which I plan to drive this thing everywhere, I think it's worth spending the money on it. So as much as I like the leaf spring look, we're still gonna give it that classic style, but we're not gonna be putting on leaf springs. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll show you everything what we're gonna do. So we're gonna be doing front and back coilovers, and it should work really well with everything we got in mind. So that's really exciting. Now, moving on. So what we got is with restorations itself. So we've done a lot of videos, and it's been all rust removal. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, like a year and a half of just watching you scrape rust off with a drill forever. Well, that's slowly coming to an end. We're gonna now have a mix of mechanical and rust removal videos. There's still a lot to do, but we got some, like the next video coming out is the rear end. We're taking that 8.5 out, and at the time I thought I was saving it, so you're gonna see me restore it, but you're gonna see us doing that, and there's gonna be like a mix of videos, so that should be interesting. So on the subject of that, there's something I mentioned last year. I think it was a year ago. I actually said that we're gonna try to get this car done for summer of 2025. That is not happening. You have to have really deep pockets and a hell of a lot of time to do that. And it's just my inexperience talking, you know what I mean? I've kind of been humbled with how much work it is. I understand why it takes people 7-8 years to do a car like this, sometimes more, because it's just crazy. It's so much work. So this car is gonna be done when it's done. I'm not setting a timeline. I'm just gonna work on it. We're only gonna use parts that we want in the car. I'm gonna wait. If I have to wait for certain things, we'll wait. You know what I mean? We're not putting stuff in the car because we got it for free or because we cheaped out. We're not doing that. At the end of the day, my wife is gonna be driving this thing. My kids are gonna be in it. I want it to stop. I want it to be as safe as possible. It's gonna have a lot of horsepower, and I want this thing to be manageable. So all these systems going in, they're just reassurances that this thing's gonna run as quickly and as reliably as possible, at the same time as safely as possible. So you gotta think about that kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna go for the lowest bidder in this case. I think it's worth making it the way I want it to. And at the same time, one thing I've noticed is in the comments, sometimes people say, oh, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm using like a cheaper paint or whatnot. I just want people to be careful of that, because I already got burned by this in the past. So I have an 88 Cherokee restored, and I use single stage paints. I used a lot of overseas materials on it. And the problem is that thing already needs to be restored again. All that stuff just peeled off, huge waste of time. I just learned the hard way that if you cheap out, you're gonna pay for it, unfortunately. So I'm not trying to be mean or anything or bring anyone down for using cheaper materials. It's worth, if you're putting in the effort, put the money in, I think. If you can't do it, just wait. I think that's the best way to do it. At least that's what I'm thinking. Not everybody could do that, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, I don't want you doing something twice. That's the most frustrating thing there is. Make it the way you want it. I think attention detail is everything. At this point, I've learned it takes so much time to do everything. Build it the way you want it the first time. That's what I'm gonna do. So it's gonna be, because we got people working with us, it's gonna be close to a show car now. Not because I need it to be, but because out of respect to everybody helping us out, let's make this thing look pretty cool. I think that's what we're gonna do. Now, one thing I wanted to reiterate, when it comes to materials for this car, just because we have certain sponsors working for us, it doesn't mean that it's gonna change the build in terms of what we would do. We still would put these parts, and like I said, these are stuff that I sourced myself. This is what I would want to put in the car anyways. The reason the sponsors are helping us out, it just keeps the videos going. There's no way in hell I'd be able to keep going had it not been for some sponsors, so we're just gonna keep going this way. But at the same time, I'm not gonna pick the best of the best for everything just because we can have a potential sponsor. Like, I'll give you an example. Just one decision made today. I was gonna put a 6.2 liter aluminum block LS engine, just because it's lighter, it's the more powerful version. And then I thought to myself, wow, this is like a 3,000 plus engine, Canadian. I can get a 5.3 liter cast for $500. How many people are doing the 5.3 liter versus the 6.2? Obviously, there's a huge difference there. So I think in this case, I gotta go with the cast. I wanna use something that more people are gonna do, so this would help more people rather than just be like, oh, this is only for the 6.2 liter. So at the same time, we're still trying to make this project relatable to people. That's why we're sanding by hand. That's why we're putting in stuff that people could afford, or stuff that makes sense. At the same time, you don't have to pick what we're picking. We're personalizing based on what we need. What you need is up to you. You pick what you want. That's as simple as it gets. But I'm gonna show you guys the technology that makes sense these days, and kind of the best of the best in terms of everything that's out there for the price range that makes sense. If you want your car to drive like a modern car but look like a classic car, which is what we're doing, I'm gonna show you what we're gonna pick. We did a documentary. For those of you who care, my background was not restoring cars. It was actually racing. So as a kid, I used to race go-karts, and then I retired at the age of 10. I was very young. I only raced for 4 years, and this was a big part of my life. And then this was a subject that I have not revisited till just over a year ago. So it was like 26 years. So the documentary is entitled Losing It. I'm just gonna show you guys the trailer so you can see what I'm talking about.
My name is Trooper Max. I'm a filmmaker, YouTuber, husband, and father. I specialize in documenting people's classic car stories by capturing their rides, sharing their unique history.
July 1981, I was 16 years old, so I bought the car.
And celebrating achievements.
I was literally in the garage anywhere from 6 to 12 hours.
It's my job to decode the emotional connections related to these automotive time capsules.
My mom bought this brand new. Dad maintained it, sat in our side lot. We kept it around until I restored it.
The challenge, of course, bringing these stories to life in an accurate, creative,
I smile every time I see the shipmobile, man. It's a character all on its own.
and entertaining matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, don't get caught by the cops.
But it's by capturing these stories that enables us to preserve automotive history, allowing them to live on for generations to come.
You know when you watch Street Outlaws? I did like these guys. Ran on the street. I went there, made noise, and went home.
But after doing all these stories, the one story I've neglected is my own. Because once upon a time, there was a young boy with a pretty promising career in motorsport. Picture this, being put behind the wheel at 6 years old.
Just 6 years old.
Enduring vigorous training and partaking in epic battles. These battles would result in countless disappointing defeats.
Come on, come on, come on!
But in turn, ignite a warrior spirit deep within, thus paving a road etched in gold. But with great success comes great responsibility and even greater danger. Now, after nearly 3 decades of being buried deep within the dark recesses of my mind, it's time to unearth this subject. I'm embarking on my own trip back in time. I have so many questions. Why did it end? What made those times so special and significant? Whatever happened to that 6-year-old boy with dreams of being the next world champion? I'm about to dive deep into the waters of mystery. Little do I know, I'm embarking on a journey that will have me asking more questions, as it's about to grow much larger than I ever anticipated.
It was crazy.
But navigating these waters won't be done alone, as I'm quickly about to be reunited with influential figures from the past. Local legends that would leave inspirational marks of history. Fellow adrenaline junkies that embodied the spirit of competition. And even fellow racers that shared very similar trajectories. It's a story about sacrifice, hard work, legacy, friendship, and family. This isn't just my story anymore, it's much more than that.
Something that I wanted to work on, I didn't want to do a video on myself. I found that very egotistical, so it took me a while to think about whether we were going to do this or not. But the thing is, it was never meant to be about myself. It is a story about all the people that helped us get to where we are, because the fact is there's a lot more to it. It's kind of our own between the wheels story. If you go back and you watch the behind the scenes of the first season, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because the fact is my dad had his own dream. My dad was always very driven. So not only did he build his own go-kart, he built us our own go-karts, he'd take us to these races, and he always wanted the best for us. He was so committed to his dream that he bought his very own property and built his own racetrack. Like, how crazy is that? He bought a big 40-acre property and he started building a racetrack. Every weekend we'd be there. He'd be there with his friends, he'd be using heavy machinery, they'd be digging dirt, they would be loading dump trucks, they'd be doing all this with no experience, all these decrepit machines from the 30s and the 60s. It's just such a unique experience. How do you make that kind of thing up? You know, if these pictures weren't around, sometimes I wouldn't even believe this happened. It's incredible that he did this just for the sake of this dream. So obviously he was very passionate about this, was very special to him. And he did a big sacrifice, both my parents did, and for our family, so that I really wanted to include that and to kind of honor what their sacrifice is, because it's really big. So I wanted to do that. And at the same time, there were so many different things. When we started that project, I had people contact me out of nowhere, even though I didn't tell anybody I was doing this from the go-karting days. And it just turned into this big thing. So essentially what it is I want to honor those who have helped us in the past, because had it not been for all those people, I wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't even be doing this channel. Heck, we wouldn't even be in this country because my parents are immigrants, and it just goes to show you can come here with no money, and as long as you want to work, you can make it, but you got to put a hell of a lot of effort in. And those crazy dreams you got to chase them. And that's what they did. So I'll never forget that, and that's why I did this documentary. It was just really important to me. That's why I wanted to show you guys kind of a part of my personal life, why I have so much passion for what I do, and why I love other people's stories so much, because I know what it's like. I know the journey is way more interesting than, you know, the destination. So the original vision of the documentary and how it actually turned out was quite different. Like all the things that end up happening throughout the documentary and throughout the year in general that we captured were things that I just didn't predict happening. So it was really neat. At the same time, my favorite part about it was actually reconnecting with all these different people. So reconnect those 3 different people from 25 years I hadn't seen, which was really cool. And I still talk to those people on a regular basis. It's really cool. Joe, Frank, and Chad, great people. That was really cool to do that. And just to feel like I did back in the day, because racing was such a big part of my life. You know, it looked like a really promising career at the time when I was a kid. And then to have it kind of just like ripped away, and to be able to explore that and everything, and then reconnect with all these people and have all these experiences is really cool. So it was definitely much more than I anticipated. And at the same time, you know, this is a family-based channel. Why we're here and all that kind of stuff. That's all in there. You will see that in there one day. But a big part of it is my dad. And the story with my dad is within the documentary, and it was just really cool to have that story play out. And one day you will see the whole story. I'm not going to tell you how it goes, but that was really, really important for me to do. So I'm glad we were able to do that. So the documentary doesn't actually come out anytime soon. We are trying to run it through film festivals just for the hell of it. Yeah, just see what happens. You know what I mean? Get the story around. Not sure we'll get into anything, but at some point in life, you got to invest in yourself and you just got to give it a shot. So that's really cool. Yeah, I just want to show you guys that. Didn't want you to think I'm doing a documentary myself, because that's just not who I am. It is my own journey, but it involves my family and people that are special to me. So one of the changes in the channel that we're going to do is you've probably seen us put on, you know, some races. We've had burnout contests, this kind of stuff. We're not really going to do that anymore. We're not going to do events, because it's just not what the channel's about. There's going to be one exception. We are going to be doing the Wayne Young Memorial every single year. As long as it doesn't rain, we'll be there, we'll film it. It's just a thing, well, kind of want to do like our annual WrestleMania type event, you know? Everybody from the region goes and just enjoys that. You know, this year was really cool because it was the first year I went, and my buddy Ross surprised me, and he let me drive his Nova.
Yeah, so just pump it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so you just
hold her down.
Yeah.
With the button first.
Yeah.
Put it in low.
Yeah.
And then hold the button. You let go of the pedal.
Oh, yeah.
It locks the 2 front wheels.
Okay, cool.
Hey, we know a transmission guy.
Yep.
We know engine builders.
Okay, there we go, perfect. All right.
Stomach in, hold it all the way down to the foot.
Yeah.
Just hold it tight to what you want.
Okay.
Now you have to reach the shifter.
Yep.
Is that?
Alrighty, let's give it a shot.
So you're lane 2.
All right. Ready?
This is 1. Okay. Turn it off.
Turn it off?
Yeah. It's an island.
Jackson!
Okay, everything's live?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Good luck.
Who's coming with me? Is anyone coming with you, or is it just me?
You, yourself, and I. No.
Okay.
Me, myself, and I. Whatever the
Is
phrase.
it just me? Are you coming with me?
No.
No?
You're going by yourself.
Oh my God, okay. Well, now I'm nervous. I guess I'm going myself.
I'm nervous, and I've been doing this for 70 years.
Woo, okay.
Longer, 60.
That was fun.
A little nerve-wracking, eh? First time?
Yeah, it was really fun though.
How was that?
It was definitely more fun than nerve-wracking, I would say. I was worried at first, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, I liked it. It was awesome. Man, I can see how you get addicted to that. Yeah. It was fun. I was pretty slow though.
Well,
I screwed up the beginning. Yeah. Oh, he's like, that was racing. Oh. So not only was I able to go drag racing for the first time, but to do it in Nova as well. That was an amazing experience. So first time ever driving a car like that on the drag strip was really cool. So I'm definitely hooked, that's right. So when I build my own car, there's gonna be some drag racing modifications done because it is something I wanna do. So that was really cool. So thank you, Ross and Henry, for doing that, for letting me drive your guys' car. That was awesome, it was just such a cool experience. Anyways, last thing, people, how can you help? Well, once again, we're never asking for money. I do not wanna do that, no memberships, nothing like that. I don't feel comfortable with that. What you can do, it's all about feedback and putting your comments in, taking the time to just write something, tell us what you think. That goes much further for us. Get a YouTube account, comment, let us know. And next thing is, if you want, we're trying to get Amazon working. So when you click the links, like let's say on the videos, there are links to different products. I still haven't got it working properly, but we're trying to get that working. If you click on it, we're supposed to get a commission. Hopefully we'll get that going. So if you want to help us when you're ordering stuff for your car, check out our links. Maybe there's stuff that can help you out there. Last thing I wanted to say is there is one more idea I have, but I don't know if we can pull it off, if it's worth it, or what we can do, but I thought I'd throw it out there. So I felt like the channel is pretty well-rounded in terms of us building our car, and we have other people's stories. But one thing we did is when we did that episode with the Charger of reuniting my father-in-law, that was really cool because it was almost like a different type of show. It's almost like we're missing a third type of show, like a reunited type show or something. Some people had mentioned something like what's in your garage. Not necessarily a between the wheels, but it's something like a project that's on the go or something rare, something interesting, or something like pulling out a car after 20, 30 years, you know. If you have ideas of what you'd like to see, let us know because I could really use the help. Just trying to see what people want to see. Yeah, and what would you call the show? We have Between the Wheels, we have Restorations. What could the third show be called? Any help is great. Listen, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support. I know you've listened to me talk enough today. I'm pretty sure you're sick of me. Thank you so much. We're going to keep going. We got lots to do. You know, this is my passion. I love doing it. And thank you guys for everything, everybody helping out, whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really thankful. I feel very happy. You know, I'm 36 years old now. You know, last year after filming everything, I just felt like for the first time in my life, I have a purpose like a real purpose, like I know what my purpose in life is here, other than being a father. It's to do these stories and cars and whatnot, and that's really important. And this year, it's just getting to the next level. So you're gonna see some cool stuff. So thankful for everybody's time and everyone's attention. Thanks for the support. And last thing you could do is check out the playlists. Like if you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the playlists. We got a whole bunch of playlists. Click on one. Just start watching episodes. You know, watch some of our older stuff. Go through it because there's some great stuff there. We'll see you guys around.